Rugby World Rankings for the 8th of November 2021. Now that we've got the Northern Tour, Autumn Internationals, End of Year Internationals, whatever you want to call them, underway, it's supposed to be a time of great change, and we certainly see a lot of teams have changed their scores, but there's bugger all change in terms of teams actually moving spots this week in the rankings. If you've got an eagle eye, though, you would have noticed a new addition to the board, and that Romania has snuck into the top 16 and the final spot on my whiteboard. So Uruguay have dropped one. So we'll go through some of the results at the weekend and how that has changed things and what are the possible permutations for the upcoming round, because number 1, number 3 and whatnot are certainly up for grabs, not just those spots, but you guys can let me know your thoughts on how things are sitting. So New Zealand retains number 1 spot by the narrowest of narrow margins. I've got them in black because they haven't changed from last week. They beat Italy pretty comfortably. But the gap between Italy and New Zealand is so great that New Zealand didn't take any points off Italy, so they remain, both of them, on their same scores. South Africa, though, with their victory over Wales, did go up from 91.13, but because they didn't win by 16, they didn't get quite enough to go past the All Blacks, but it is very, very close, 91.36 to 91.33. So I've got them in green because they are up. So, still 1 and 2 for them. The Aussies are still in third. They're in red because they've dropped. They lost to Scotland, so down from 87.51. Scotland are in green. They're up from 82.02. So they're up in points, but again, they didn't get enough to pass France, who also got a win. So you can see they've taken points off Argentina. France were on 83.87, so going up slowly but steadily. England with their victory over Tonga. Same deal with New Zealand over Italy. The gap is too far, so they haven't taken any points. And the last one there is Ireland. They did take points off Japan, but not a heck of a lot because the difference was already pretty far. So 84.85 up to 84.96. So it's a slight gain for them, but nothing too much to shout about. So once you get past 16, you don't get any extra points for getting 60 or 70 or 80 points kind of thing. It's either 1 to 15 or 16 plus. So that means some of these teams are down. Wales are down 79.99 and Japan are down 78.50, but their spots are still the same. I haven't seen it yet, but Fiji beat Spain in their match. They did take some points. They're up to 77.01. Georgia are playing France next week, so nothing doing with them. Samoa is not touring. And Romania, if you didn't see it, Romania had a win over Uruguay, 29 points to 14. So that's the only result I didn't pick in my Super Brew this weekend. I thought Uruguay, based on their recent form, might have gotten it done. I underestimated the Romanians. So Romania up from 18th. Uruguay and USA both drop a spot. Elsewhere off the board, Russia passed Hong Kong with their victory over the Netherlands. There's plenty more going on. Now, what about this weekend's games? Because we got a whole bunch of games on this weekend. Are we going to see some potential moving? Can number 1 spot change? Yes, potentially. Remember, New Zealand's playing Ireland, and South Africa's playing Scotland. So if New Zealand lose, obviously they will drop below. If South Africa win, that's kind of the way it's going to go. The only other possible ways it can go is if I think New Zealand win by 1 to 15, but South Africa get their game by 16 plus, then they will get enough points to pass the All Blacks. But it's either New Zealand losing or South Africa kind of getting that better margin. It's the only way that's going to change. If they both win close or if they both win big, then I think New Zealand's going to retain that spot. If Ireland do get that win over the Kiwis, they could potentially go up to number 3. I think they'll clamour enough points. England likewise will take 3 if they beat the Aussies. Scotland could pass France if they beat the Springboks. I don't think Argentina can do enough with their victory, or it could be a loss over Italy. If they get a victory, they're not going to they're not going to pass anybody. The gap to Scotland is too much. Wales, I think, could take 8th if they beat Fiji and Argentina lose to Italy. But if Argentina win, then I think it'll kind of remain the status quo. So, yeah, there's certainly some possibilities this weekend. I am looking forward to Argentina and Italy, especially because that is a battle of two teams on somewhat lengthy losing runs of recent times. All Blacks were a bit lackluster compared to Ireland, who were very sharp, so that one's got a lot about it. Scotland, their win last week means that game against South Africa is a little bit more spicy as well. Two winners kind of meeting each other, and Wales could certainly use a bit of a decent win after a couple of tough losses at home. But yeah, there's heaps of games on. There's women's games on as well. England, who's number 1, who've given the Black Ferns a couple of hidings. They're taking on Canada, who's number 3. Scotland's taking on Japan. Wales taking on South Africa. Ireland are taking on the USA. So there's heaps of women's games on as well. There's just so much rugby on in November. It's crazy. I didn't even mention France are playing Georgia. There won't be any points change in that one. Belgium's taking on Canada. That's going to be interesting. Portugal's taking on Japan. I think Japan could get a marginal gain if they beat Portugal away. But Rugby World Rankings for the 8th of November. Congrats to Romania for getting on the board. I think that's my most recent magnet, actually. So good thing we made that. Made that for when they played Argentina a while back and gave Argentina a good run back in July. So yeah, we'll see how things go. The number 16 spot's the only kind of mover and shaker on the board, but there could be more with a ton more games on this weekend. You guys let me know your thoughts. Do you see the Springboks taking number 1 spot anytime soon, or do you think New Zealand can get the job done over in Ireland? Italy against Argentina. Who are you picking for that one? If you are in the Super Group pool, let me know how you do it. I think I've gone up 100 odd spots because I had a remarkably good second week. But you guys have any thoughts, and I'll talk to you again soon. See you later.